Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for Wello's latest community and co-created effort to improve the well-being of all in Brown County, the Yield to Your Neighbor campaign. My name is Mario Gonzalez, and I handle the marketing and communications for Wello. I'm really excited to be here and so thankful for everyone that was able to join us this morning. Today you're going to be hearing from Wello Executive Director Natalie Bomstead, who's going to talk a little bit about the campaign so we can get a little bit more information about it, how it came about, and why there was a need for it in our community. After that, you're going to hear from Peter Fluke, President of We Bike ETC, a national bike and pedestrian safety consultant that's actually housed right here in our Greater Green Bay community in Ashwaubenon, and he's going to break down the tagline and talk about its importance to the campaign. At the end of that, if you would like to interview Peter or Natalie, they'll be available. We also have members of the Greater Green Bay Active Communities Alliance, so we've got representation from county and city planners to law enforcement, elected officials, bike and walking advocates. I hope I've covered everyone, but a lot of representation there, so feel free to speak with anyone with a Yield to Your Neighbor shirt at the end if you would like some additional words. But with that, I will turn things over to Natalie and we'll get things started.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mario, and thank you all for joining us today for our launch of the Yield to Your Neighbor campaign. So at Wello, our mission is to co-create community conditions that are fair and just to drive high levels of health and well-being for all. And this campaign is a result of a co-creation process, as Mario mentioned, with many people graciously sharing their time, their expertise, and care for the community we are all a part of. And many of those individuals are here with us today, and I want to extend my sincere thanks to all of them. So thank you all. So why this campaign? When Wello asked residents, what's one thing that would improve well-being in your community, a top response was making walking, biking, and rolling more accessible by increasing bike lanes, sidewalks, and trails, while also making it safer to use. A key part of Green Bay's Safe Walk and Bike Plan does include education opportunities to improve active transportation throughout our community. And during the pandemic, we have seen a dramatic increase in the demand for walking and biking. For example, there were over 100,000 more people using the Fox River Trail in a 3-month period last year than the previous year alone. So what can we do? The campaign highlights the one action that we all can take to reduce crashes and injuries. Yield. Who is our neighbor? We believe our children should be able to safely walk, bike, or roll to school, a friend's house, or grab a bite to eat. We believe that being in a wheelchair shouldn't be a barrier to exploring our downtown shops or enjoying our trails. And we believe that a parent with a child in a stroller should be able to enjoy the fresh air. We believe that everyone who calls Greater Green Bay home, our neighbors, should be able to be active safely. And this campaign aims to encourage all of us to yield to our neighbor, making our community a place where regardless of how you get around, you can be safe and enjoy the many amenities that Brown County has to offer. The campaign will consist of sharing personal stories of our neighbors through social media posts, newspaper, television, and newsletters, and our website. If you would like to share your story or would like to help promote and receive one of these amazing t-shirts, please email us at hello@wello.org. So again, thank you for being here with us today. And now I'd like to turn things over to Peter Fluke of We Bike ETC.
Thank you, Natalie. My wife Tracy Fluke and I run a national pedestrian and bicycle safety consulting business. And as part of that, I get to travel all over the country talking to pedestrians and bicyclists, motorists, law enforcement officers, city and county officials about why they should want to make their community safer for pedestrians and bicyclists, and then how to go about doing that. So there is some logic. There's a bigger picture to this whole activity. As I've been working with the Greater Green Bay Active Community Alliance, the amount of joy that I experience from having an opportunity to share the things that I've learned over the years nationally in my own community and in my own neighborhood really is almost overwhelming. So it's so nice to see all these people here today that I know, because what we're really talking about is us. This isn't some strange pedestrian, some strange bicyclist, some motorist. It's all of us interacting in our community every day. So there's some lessons that I've learned doing the national consulting thing, and also in my former career as a law enforcement officer. If we want people to change their behavior, there's a couple of different things we need to do. First of all, we need to tell people what it is we want them to do. You can't expect people to change their behavior if we don't give them another way to do it. But then that's not just enough. You also need to tell them why. So let me give you an example. When we're talking about pedestrian and bicycle safety, how crashes happen, it's incredibly predictable. And since how those crashes happen are predictable, they're also preventable. Okay? There's just a few mistakes that pedestrians, bicyclists, and motorists make on a regular basis that account for the vast majority of crashes. But if people don't know what those are, they won't know how to make it better. But that's not the only thing that we need as part of this equation. Because I can tell you what to do, but if I can't convince you that you should actually do it, nothing changes, right? And that's where the tagline for this campaign comes in. Everything that we'll talk to people about, it's going to be safer, it'll be courteous, and it'll be in compliance with the law. If we leave those elements out, we leave the opportunity, or we lose the opportunity to get people to change their behavior and make this a better, safer, more active, enjoyable community to be a part of. So the key here is you have to look at the various violations, mistakes that people make, and know how to work with them. So let me give you a couple of examples. The leading cause of crashes for adult bicyclists with motor vehicles is a left-turning motorist not yielding the right of way. Makes sense? Sure it does. For bicyclists, not riding with the flow of traffic, so riding against the flow of traffic, it's a contributing factor in 1/3 of all of the crashes. If we could simply get bicyclists riding the same direction, 1/3 of those crashes go away. And pedestrians. When pedestrians are crossing the street, not yielding the right of way to a motorist can be extremely dangerous. So crossing against the traffic signal, crossing against the pedestrian signal, or worse yet, and more common, running across the street mid-block and not yielding the right of way. So we know these things are dangerous. I can tell people about them, but why would they want to change their behavior? So the first one is, it's safer, right? If you don't want to get hurt, stop doing this and start doing that. It's pretty simple, but you have to look at that. The other one is it's more courteous. It's extremely frustrating to me if I'm going through an intersection to have to be terrified of every motorist coming towards me turning left. I have the right of way. I'm a legal vehicle in traffic, but if the motorist isn't on board, and I don't think they are, so it's just that respect part. And the last part of it's the law. Everything that I just mentioned is a violation of the law. If people would follow the rules of the road, abide by the traffic law, these crashes wouldn't happen. So, therefore, the tagline of this project. So remember, it's important. Yield to your neighbor. It's safer, it's courteous, and it's the law. Thank you. Mario?
Well, thank you, Peter and Natalie, for just a brief little synopsis of what this campaign is all about. Really excited to carry this on for months, again, as we share the stories of our neighbors, of everyone who calls Greater Green Bay home, as to why we really need to yield to our neighbors. So again, if you would like to interview Natalie or Peter, they will both be available, as well as everyone here in the Yield to Your Neighbor shirts. If you're looking for someone in particular, please feel free to reach out to me and I can get that interview set up for you. If you need anyone to hop on bikes to get some shots of that, I'm sure we have people that are more than happy to do that. And lastly, I will be sending out a news release fully officially announcing that the campaign is underway. Attached to that will also be the Yield to Your Neighbor logo, so if you'd like to use that in your story. And last, I would just like if everyone with your shirts can just come up here and if we can get a group photo of everyone together. But with that, I want to thank everyone again for being here.